What's up guys, Adam Retro Moments here and welcome to this beautiful evening here in Nagoya, Japan. I got a few requests to do a PlayStation special hunt, so let's try to focus on that today. And before we begin, if you like my videos, make sure you're subscribed. Now let's go! Alright, let's look at some hardware stuff first. We got a few PS Vitas here, you can get one for around 80 bucks. PS1 Classic, 40 bucks. And what do we have here? Arcade stick from Hori, of course. Always making quality arcade sticks. 35 bucks for that one. And on the top we got a GunCon 2 in the box. And this was the first time that they added the D-pads, you could walk around and shoot. 9 bucks, definitely worth it. Still a lot of fun to play around with these today. And down under we got some PS2s in the box. Different variants. And all of them seems to be around 70 bucks. I don't know what it is, but PS2s in box seem to be a little more expensive in Japan. Ooh, we got Mario manga here. But let's go to the games. Alrighty then, why don't we start with some PS1 games? They seem to have quite a few here, so I'm sure we'll find some good stuff. And this one was easy to spot. It's the Real Bout Fatal Fury Special. Actually one of my favorite fighting games for the NEO GEO. Arcade fighting perfection in my opinion. And this is the PS1 version, which added some cinematic anime sequences. And changed the gameplay a little bit. And the graphics are absolutely beautiful. Very colorful and well animated. Let's see, what else do we have here? Some more PlayStation games here on the side. Ooh, Soul Edge. Released in '97. This is pretty much the first Soul Calibur game that was ever released. A weapon-based fighter that is still really fun to play today. The graphics might not really hold up as good, but it's definitely really fluid for being on the PlayStation 1. 2 bucks. And another SNK game here. Samurai Shodown Warriors Rage. And this took the classic fighting series to 3D polygons with the PlayStation, and the gameplay is a little clunky, but for all the Samurai Shodown fans out there, you should definitely try it at least. And for 4 bucks, I mean, that's definitely worth adding to the collection. And here's one of the most classic PS1 games, Metal Gear Solid, released in '98, and definitely one of those games that you can still play today and get really into. Definitely a unique feeling to this game. And here's another fighting game. I feel like we're almost only looking at fighting games, but there are so many good ones on the PS1. Marvel vs. Capcom. I know a lot of people love this game. I did play it back in the days, but I never really got into it. I was mostly playing Street Fighter 2 Turbo and Mortal Kombat 2. And here's a game you can never talk too much about. First Metal Slug game. Pretty much my first contact with SNK. When I was younger, I was playing this on a demo CD. And they also have Metal Slug X, which is their redefined version of number 2. 9 bucks for the first one, and the second was for 14 bucks. Way cheaper than the original NEO GEO games. And here we got Rockman Battle and Chase, 18 bucks. Pretty sure I've been talking about this before. It's a kart racing game with Mega Man. Not the best though. But guess what? We're coming to another good fighting game I have to talk about. This is Rival Schools. Very fast gameplay. A lot of fun stuff to do in this. Cool combos. Another one of those fighting games that I didn't know about at a young age, but definitely like and play nowadays. And it's from Capcom, so of course another quality game for 4 bucks. Continuing with Capcom, we got Dino Crisis 2. I remember playing Dino Crisis 1 on a demo disc, and it was absolutely horrifying. But not to forget, a really good game of course. So if you enjoyed the first Resident Evil games, this one will definitely be right up your alley. Alright, what else do we have here? Crash Bandicoot 2 bucks, Dance Dance Revolution. Let's see if we can find some more good stuff. Well, this one is definitely worth talking about. It's the very last Fatal Fury game, I believe. Going from 2D to 3D, of course, on the PS1. It doesn't play all too shabby, but it's definitely lacking in the sense of gameplay. And of course, the graphics are not really up to date anymore. But it's a fun piece of history, definitely, especially if you like the series. $9 for that. Oh, there's no stop to the fighting games here, I guess. Another good one, released in '98, and what makes this special, you ask? Well, it's an all-girl fighting game, actually. Yeah, that's right, no men allowed in this one. And it actually plays really good and has some great combos. And it can be pretty tough to find a copy of that game, so $27 is definitely a good price. And here's a game that I know a lot of people love, Chrono Cross. Pretty much the sequel to Chrono Trigger, which I've never played. Actually, I have played it, but I've never beaten it. So if you're out for some quality RPG games, check them out. And here's a game that I'm sure a lot of people have missed, Ganbare Goemon Uedo Daikaiten. And as you can see, it plays pretty much like a side-scroller, very similar to the second one on Super Famicom, or Goemon's Great Adventure on the N64. So definitely don't miss that game. $18 was the price. So what else do we got here? We got Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. Pretty good fighting game too. And even more fighting games. Tekken 3 might as well be my most played PS1 game ever. And another of the Rival Schools games. $14. And what is this? Huh, never seen this game before. Pretty interesting cover though. But yeah, I guess that's about it. Let's head to the next book off. Alright, so another store before I head home. Let's continue with the PlayStation hunt. Maybe we can take a look at some PS2 games as well. But before we dive into the games, let's go and check the hardware stuff first. It should be right here to the left. People coming from all directions here. So let's see here. I see some consoles down under there. Let's just take a quick look. $36 for the N64, $45 for the Super Famicom, and $36 for the Saturn. Not the best prices that I've seen, but I guess the Saturn is a pretty good price, however. But let's not waste more time here. Let's go further in. And alright, they have some more stuff here. What do we got? Right, they have the section with the special boxes here, but I'm pretty sure I've been looking through all of that before in an earlier video. PS4 controller, pretty good condition, $46. Can also be used on the computer, remember that. And $2 for a first generation PS1 controller. And in here they got some 3DS games. But let's go and check out more PlayStation games. And since I've been looking at a lot of fighting games today, I was thinking, what's your favorite fighting game? Please comment down below, I would love to know. Would be great to even try some new fighting games that I've never played before. Anyway, continuing with PS1 here. Let's see if we can find some good stuff. So far it's nothing that I recognize here really. A lot of PS1 exclusive Japanese games. That's another one actually. If you know any Japanese PS1 exclusives that are fun to play and English friendly, comment down below as well. Scython Filter, great stealth action game there, $4. And another Tekken 3 for $4. Definitely a price I would pay. Such a good game. And here we got Angel Eyes from Tecmo, the creators of Dead or Alive series. I never actually played this one, but I heard it got a lot of praise from fighting game fans. Should definitely check that one out. I know that you don't come across that one that often actually. So 2,200 yen is definitely a good deal. Alright, continuing on here. By the way, if you see any good title that I'm looking at that I don't know what it is, shout me out in the comments. Don't miss that game! I mean, there was almost 8,000 titles for the PS1 released worldwide, so definitely impossible to know all of them. But enough of PS1, there seems to be a lot of PS2 here, so let's take a look. We got Kingdom Hearts. I've been talking about that in previous videos, but I know there's a lot of fans of that game. I just never got into it, and I don't know why. Sometimes you don't know why even. And here seems to be something interesting. Look at that box and that cover art. Looks pretty rad. $46, so it's definitely something good. Back in the days I never had a PS2 actually. I was a GameCube player, playing Smash Bros. Melee all the time. But I definitely knew that PS2 has some good games, and here we got a Konami game that looks really interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of good hidden gems for the PS2. This is probably worth checking out too. Bomberman Land 3. Yeah, it looks pretty good. $14. The price definitely tells you that it's a good game. And here we got a good one. It's another fighter. How strange. Svc Chaos. So this was SNK versus Capcom. Before this one there was a Capcom versus SNK. So they're both worth playing today. Definitely good fighters, and you get to have characters from both SNK franchises and Capcom. Talking about SNK, here's King of Fighters 2002. The aesthetics of this game is still beautiful today, and SNK actually went bankrupt in 2001, so they came back strong with this one. A cool big box Final Fantasy XX2 for $8. And here we have a game called Bustino. Looks like your average action adventure game. There's so many of those on the PS2. But here is something really good, and something a little bit hard to find, at least in Europe. Klonoa 2, the first one on PS1, was a fantastic platformer, and this one continues on from there. Better graphics and more variety in the gameplay. Definitely worth those $4 in the price, and even with a 30% discount, it's a no-brainer. And what's this supposed to be? Cross-channel to all people, huh? Looks pretty weird. Anything else? So many of these anime manga games that were probably only released in Japan. I'm sure some of them are really good, so if you have any recommendations for PS2 exclusive Japanese games, then comment down below, of course. I'd love to know some great PS2 games. Let's continue the search here. Oh, and if anyone has any good shooters to recommend on a PS2, I'd love to know that as well. I love the Thunder Force series, and I've been playing through pretty much all of the earlier titles, and also the one on PS2, of course. So don't hesitate to give me any recommendations there. And now I automatically went down to the Wii section here. Let's just give the Nintendo people a little something to look at before we call it a day. Here's the remake of the first Klonoa game from PS1. It actually got released on the Wii, and definitely very faithful to the original one. So definitely to recommend. And the old soccer games are not really worth looking at, unless they're made in an arcade and fun way to play. Here, this one looks interesting. Dragon Quest, of course. Big in Japan. Donkey Kong Country Returns. Definitely a good game that you should play through, especially if you love the earlier titles. A Kirby 20-year edition, $32. And a collection of games. What else do we have here? Wii was definitely an interesting console. It felt like most of the game were made for anyone in any age to play, which is of course a good standpoint from Nintendo to make everyone play video games. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of strange titles here that you never thought about in a video game. Resident Evil 4, that one of course well worth playing today. $4, that's nothing, and it uses the Wii motions in the controls. But I guess that's about it now. The time is ticking, it's getting late, and I want to go home and sleep now. Thank you everyone for watching, hope you enjoyed this episode of another retro game hunting in Japan. Oh, and of course they have phones in here as well that you can buy. I'm actually thinking about buying a new phone. Anyway, make sure to give the video a thumbs up so it reaches more people out there in the YouTube world. And I'll see you the next time. Bye everyone!